What is going on to all my elves, goblins, hobbits, dwarves, and orcs out there? It is your boy, Humans, back out with another review, and we are reviewing the final live-action movie in the Lord of the Rings / Hobbit franchise, that being Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. But before we get to the actual beginning of the video itself, guys, if you missed my previous reviews of all the movies, they're on playlist on my YouTube channel if you'd like to check that out, and that is building up to the newest Lord of the Ring movie coming out tomorrow, called The War of the Rohirrim. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free, and number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm and recommend the video to more people, and maybe they could join that. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Lord of the Rings: Return of the King down below. With that being said, guys, let's get right into and before we get right into let's give a quick plot synopsis, shall we? So transition and choose
Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King presents the final confrontation between the forces of good and evil in fighting for control of the future of Middle-earth. Hobbits Frodo and Sam reach Mordor in their quest to destroy the One Ring, while Aragorn leads the forces of good against Sauron's evil army at the Stone City of Minas Tirith.
Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, this is the final live-action review of the Lord of the Rings franchise, and after this we just got 2 animated movies to review. The newest animated movie and the last animated movie to review in this franchise. If you guys missed my 2 previous Lord of the Rings reviews, I love both of those movies as well. Two of the Towers being my least favorite, spoiler alert, but it's still awesome as well. And the Fellowship of the Ring I love as well. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And as for Return of the King, let's just get into the actual review itself, shall we? Alright, so starting off with the good, if you're talking about Return of the King, you gotta talk about these epic action sequences. And since it is the finale, you can tell that they went out with a bang with the action sequences in here, and Peter Jackson does.
He does everything possible to make every frame mean something and wants you to get encapsulated in this war epic.
So this one is more like the most action-y out of the 3, if you're into the action more than the world building and such and such. Another thing that I love is everyone bringing their A-game from the camera work, the directing by Peter Jackson, and the performances by everyone, especially Sean Astin as Sam. Sean Astin in here I think this is by far his best performance in anything I've seen him in. I've seen him quite a few things, but he acted on a excellent level in here, where his relationship with Frodo in here is very important, and I think it is built out quite well, and especially for the emotional moments, man, he kills it in this movie. Also, everyone else that acts too does a great job too. Of course, Elijah Wood still does good as Frodo. Andy Serkis does good as the voice of Gollum and Smeagol. And of course, Ian McKellen does great as Gandalf. They just wanted to make sure this got the perfect send-off, and they did a great job at enhancing that. Another thing in here that I loved as well is the backstory for Gollum. So at the beginning of this movie, it basically shows how Smeagol became
Gollum, from where he started eating raw fish to him starting deteriorating his skin. So yeah, pretty dark backstory.
Another thing I loved about this movie is all the new character arcs that we got in this one, and more particularly we got 2. And it is for Eowyn and Pippin. Pippin especially gets a really good character arc in here, whereas the first 2 the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies, he is very much just a twin. He's just a twin. Him and the twins just do their own thing, basically. But this time, they separate the 2 twins. Well, or the 2 brothers, whatever. I don't know if they're twins or not. but in the story at least. But this time around, they have him have his own sort of story with Denethor. I'm pretty sure Denethor the Second and Faramir, which I thought that story was quite interesting as well, to give him like a little limelight in the story. And Eowyn, for her story, is one that's kind of got repeated a lot of times after this, but basically she wants to be in the battle too. She just doesn't want to be left out of it. So that's another thing. And the number one thing I gotta talk about in here, and this is my final good of the movie, is the perfect ending to this trilogy. I mean, I might get into spoiler territories, y'all, so you might want to skip forward a little bit. I don't know if I'll get into spoilers. We'll just have to find out. But if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings trilogy, come on, man. You gotta check those out, man, because they're some of the greatest movies of all time. But this movie perfectly ends things when Frodo reveals... Oh, man, I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it. But this had, it brought, rewatching this, it brought me to tears, and it's been a very long time since I've seen this movie, and I totally forgot about the ending. But when Frodo is set to go on the journey with Gandalf and an aging Bilbo, he basically gives Sam the opportunity to write the book instead, and that was just, such a gut punch, but a perfect way to end Frodo's arc as well. That is just, oh my goodness, it got me in the feels, man. It was, yeah, and no wonder why this made $1 billion at the box office. That is the good done, and I only have a mixed aspect. I don't have any negatives. And the only mixed aspect I have in here is the length of the movie. I feel like if it is a 3.5 hour long movie for the finale of this trilogy, I think it is earned. But also, you could have trimmed it down to maybe at least 3 hours, because it is a long movie. There's only ever been 3 movies that I've watched that has been over 3 hours. This, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I think all of them could have been trimmed little by little. This time around being kind of in there. Where I respect the runtime kind of, but I kind of also think it should have been trimmed. So I'm somewhere down the middle with the runtime of the film, because it is a very, very long movie. With that being said, guys, why did I just say that twice? Let's bring out the Toxic Mita, and this is a not toxic, and it's an A+. This is one of my favorite movies of all time as well. It's just, I'm not sure about the length. I think the length is it is a 5 out of 5 movie, but still, I don't know if it should be 3.5 hours long or not. But that is just my thoughts on Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. With that being said, guys, I'll see y'all in this one, everybody. Peace out.